So Johnny, I know all about German Pilsners, I know all about Czech Pilsners, but what even are Italian Pilsners?
Buona domanda.
Lo so.
It's a great question, Bradley. There are three different kinds of, well, I mean, there's loads of different kinds of Pilsner, but there are now three schools of thought when it comes to the humble, the simple, the pale lager, essentially.
The spectacular, I would add.
I would actually, yeah, you're 100% right. So should we quickly recap what the other two are, the ones that we should know very, very well?
Yeah.
So we've got the original, the Czech Pilsner, which in modern terms is kind of, it shows decoction character, so it's got caramel and a richer body. It's also got, you know, classic like bready, biscuit kind of character that we'd expect from the use of Pilsner malts. And then it's really, really hoppy. So loads of floral character, decent bitterness to balance that sweetness that comes from the decoction. Yeah. So that's the Czech Pilsner, Pilsner Urquell, Unitice, Staropramen, Budvar, those kind of beers.
Yeah.
We then have the German Pilsner, which was invented in response to the Czech Pilsner, which they did slightly differently. They might well have decocted once, but less of that's going on now. It's lighter, it's brighter, it's less sweet, and therefore the bitterness is also taken down to stay in balance. So it can be quite punchy, but it's really like, it's light bread, it's crisp, it's refreshing, it's a crispy boy.
It's a crispy boy,
for
sure.
Whereas Czech Pilsners aren't so crispy.
Sweet and crispy boy.
Sweet and crispy.
Maybe less crispy.
Yeah, like a fresh apple. Well, Budvar does have some of that character. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Budvar. We're going to talk about Italian Pilsner and this beauty which invented it. So I'm going to dig into the technical specifications of an Italian Pilsner first, because as we're going to see, they've kind of been interpreted differently with different breweries. So the Italian Pilsner has its roots way, way back in 1996.
Wow, that's taking it way back. Spice Girls, Babylon Z, Spaceman topping the charts.
Two things I never thought you'd mention, let alone mention on the channel. Yeah, we're in Girl Power.
Wow.
We're in whatever Babylon Zoo was.
Like X-Files was on TV.
Yeah.
It was all the height of like aliens.
You could wear your hat backwards without being looked at funny in the street. Yeah, so we're in 1996. We're in northern Italy with a man called Agostino Arioli.
Oh yeah.
And he wanted to found a brew pub in Milan. And he brewed a couple of beers for this brew pub, one of which was a German Pilsner. So far,
so normal.
Pretty standard story. So that's where it all starts. We've got this German Pilsner being brewed by this guy in a brew pub. But he loved hops. And he'd recently been to the UK and been learning about the British way of brewing cask ale. And he'd seen them dry hopping their casks.
Ah, okay.
So he went, well, I love hops. What would happen if I threw a dry hop into this Pilsner?
Ooh.
So he took classic German varieties. It's not something you do. You don't dry hop really with these varieties. They're not known for their big aromatic qualities when you do that. But he did it, and what resulted was a hazy northern German Pilsner with a hefty dry hop of, you know, Hallertau and stuff like that had these incredible characteristics that we're about to taste. And for me, there may be some people raising their eyebrows going, oh God, another style I've never heard of. What is it? These beers do taste so different to the Czech and to the German Pilsners. So should we crack the original?
I'm super intrigued.
TPO Pils is the name he gave it actually means a kind of Pilsner. So it's a bit like a Pilsner, or it's a type of Pilsner, but a different one. TPO Pils.
TPO.
So that's what TPO means.
Right.
Italian bottles are wacky, and their caps are a nightmare to open, so bear with me.
That's a bit...
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
They're massive caps, and not all bottle openers can do it.
Salut! Prost!
Salut.
Cheers!
There you go. And then the language you don't speak. Oh.
Salut! Prost! Cheers!
So they call this a timeless Pils, right? And the really interesting thing about this, which actually I learned, there's a great article, I'll link to it in the descriptions, by Mark Dredge about the history of this style, is that in Italy, this has been so influential that if you go to a craft brewery and have a Pilsner, it will be an Italian-style Pilsner.
So they don't even bother saying, like, anything. It's just
No,
Pilsner.
like, if it's not going to be a dry-hopped one, they'll call it a lager or a Helles.
No way.
Pilsner means dry-hopped with these noble varieties. That's how influential this beer is.
So it's literally changed the whole sort of drinking scene of Italy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Right, let's give it a sniff.
It's TPO time.
TPO time.
That smells great.
Yeah. Lovely and herbal, kind of maybe slightly rosemary or thyme. Something around there.
Yeah, something quite rich.
Yeah, and then a fresh bread, almost like, it's herbs on focaccia kind of vibes. I know it's reductive to just pick Italian flavours.
It is like that.
Yeah,
it is like a sort of fresh focaccia that you've stuffed all the like rosemary and stuff into.
Whoa. But there's no garlic in here, thank God.
No, there's no garlic.
That's not a good sign. So yeah, so we've got a hazy, really bright and really floral not floral, really herby style of Pilsner. So it smells nothing like a Czech or a German Pils, does it?
No.
But when we taste it, we're going to have more surprises.
Wow, it's different.
Crispy, right?
Crispy. Quite a lot of bitterness.
Loads of bitterness, yeah. Really almost kind of powdery bitterness, which I think comes from, that slightly rough bitterness from that dry hop, because, that's one of the reasons why, say, Americans would never use continental, noble German hops or dry hops, because you get that powderiness. But it's really nice in this beer.
The mouthfeel is really interesting as well.
Well, tell me more.
Very fine carbonation,
yeah,
but quite a lot of carbonation. It's carrying sort of waves of bitterness to my brain.
It's spritzy, so to again allude to something Italian, a little bit prosecco-y. What's really interesting is there is a definite bready undertone to it as well, which is, I think it's something that's happened since he first brewed it. He's added a little bit of sweetness back in, a bit of Caramunic to give it a bit more malt depth, give it something a little bit more firm for that spritziness, for that bitterness, for that powderiness, for that herbalness to sit on top of.
Yes.
But keeping its really light, crisp, incredibly crushable kind of flavours.
Italians, they do love bitterness, don't they? When I'm thinking about it now, they love like a Negroni, Aperol.
Lots of endive in their cooking.
Everything's got like that bitter edge to it. So it makes a lot of sense that he's sort of brought this bitterness.
Yeah, he'd take a Pilsner and amp it up.
Up it, yeah.
And even when so there's a couple of references to beers that inspired him coming up with this, and one of them was Jever, which is a northern German Pilsner, much more bitter, partly because of the water chemistry up where it's brewed in northern Germany, but also that really amps up the hops that they're using in that.
Got you.
So he started from a very hoppy base, German-wise, and then amped it up even further, and then dry hopped it, and then made it highly carbonated. So it's all coming together to make it incredibly light. But this is 5.2. You would not know that to drink it. It drinks like a 4% light-bodied kind of German Pils.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous. Beautiful.
It's an absolutely stunning beer. The reason we're doing this now is because it's just started coming back to the UK via the company I used to work for, Cave, and I was like, it's one of the, imported beers really struggle now. Like every nation in the world has really good domestic breweries now.
Yeah.
So it's rare to be excited by an import. But oh my God, was I excited when I saw that newsletter. And I was like, well, we need to get this, we need to cover it. And then I went out and found 2 cracking examples of UK brewed ones, which we're going to crack into now.
Can't wait.
Right, so we've tasted the original. We understand the technical differences.
Yes.
And now we're going to see how other people have interpreted them. And we're going to start with somebody that's interpreted it pretty close to the letter. And also, in my opinion, probably the best brewery in the UK, which is Burning Sky.
Chef's kiss / smoking spliff, as someone said.
Depending on your point of view. So this is Lopoletto Pils. They tell you the hops on this one, excitingly. Where are we? So we've got Pearl, which is a classic kind of noble... Well, it's not a noble hop, I don't think, but it's a bittering hop.
Yes.
That's used in a lot of these beers. And then Spalter and Saphir. Nice. Saphir is quite a modern, non-noble, but German hop that's got kind of lemon and tangerine. It's a little bit more fruity than, like, say, Hallertau and Tettnang, but it's still got that fresh grass, herbal kind of character to it.
So already they've kind of mixed it up. They've stepped away a little bit from the noble only.
Yeah, and into, a little bit more modern. Yeah. But this has Caramunic in, it has just Pilsner malt, it's going to be dry. It's hazy, much hazier than the original.
Paler as well, I think. A little bit, slightly.
Yeah, potentially a little bit paler. But so this should be very similar, but we're looking for a little bit more modern hop character without ever stepping into, like, what's very popular as well, like, American hops Pilsners, Nelson hop Pilsners, Motueka hop Pilsners, which you could call an Italian Pilsner potentially if you follow all of the other things. So good malt body, dryness, bitterness. But I still probably wouldn't. I'd still want continental European hops in there. So I get a little bit more kind of honeyed sweetness rather than caramel sweetness from that.
Yes.
And then a really nice kind of candied lemon thing, which I think is coming from the Saphir.
There's definitely, like you say, there's like a fresh sort of lemoniness to it, which
wasn't there in the original, which was a much drier kind of aroma. But it also still has that herbal, slightly powdery kind of thing going on. It smells dry, but with honey and lemon poking through, cutting through.
It smells great.
It smells lovely, yeah. That is bitter from the moment it goes into your mouth, isn't it?
Yeah.
But actually, on the finish, it's not. I was a bit worried that wouldn't be that balanced, but actually, it's perfection.
It's great. It's somehow, it's like, it's softer, but it's still got the bitterness.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah. I think it's less crispy. It's more rounded, more balanced, and a little bit more fruity.
So I can see the bones of it is kind of like sort of similar lineage, but for me it's sort of it's a bit kind of softer, a bit chalkier. There's less sort of carbonation, less sort of aggressive.
Yeah, it's less prosecco-y in that way, and that could be literally the carbonation or the way it's carbonated. Maybe this is spunded, so it's like natural carbonation.
What do you think the softness could be like?
Or water profile, yeah. Right, okay. So it could literally be chalk.
To me, it's got a little bit more of modernity about it, hasn't it? With that somehow, and also almost a little bit of like a lager top vibe.
Yeah, okay,
almost,
yeah.
Just with a little.
In the absolute best way, a little lager top vibe to it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite lemony. Yeah.
So yeah, we've got one more example, which is probably going to be quite different to the other two because of the idiosyncrasies of the brewer. I think this is going to be closer to a German-style Pilsner, essentially, because I know that is what Bates, the head brewer at Duration, really loves. He loves real dryness, real bitterness. So you can see why he's looked at Italian Pilsner and gone, hey, let's brew one of these.
Bit of me.
And he's, I very much doubt he's put any sweetness into this whatsoever. So he says on here, bright lemon and tangerine zip on the nose leads to a lean body.
Lean.
With delicate but firm hop bitterness. Lighter on the malts than its Bavarian cousin. So it's lighter, a crisp Italian Pilsner, generously dry hopped with Saphir again. So that's where that lemon and tangerine will come from. And then Mittelfru, so keeping it noble. Mittelfru. Hallertau Mittelfru, the classic. What'll be in all of like the German, like the Helles from Bavaria and stuff like that, yeah.
It smells hoppy. Very hoppy.
Yeah, it's very hop forward, but very earthy, fresh cut grass. I mean, it's called cutting grass, I think, for a reason. One, because it's the kind of beer you want to drink in summer when you're doing outdoor work. But B, because there's so much grass on this.
Way loads of grass. Is that a guy? That's a guy. There's a guy on his mini tractor that is mowing a lawn, Johnny, and I'm big time getting that mowing lawn vibes. Salute.
Salute.
Okay.
So he wasn't joking about the lean body.
No.
You know, there's almost no malt character to that. It's Jacob's Cracker. I've been called out for only talking about Jacob's Crackers. Other water biscuits?
Other crackers are available.
Other
I don't think they own they don't own the sort of trademarked crackers, right?
I don't think so. Other crackers are available. And I'm sure they taste like Italian Pilsners as well. But so, you know, it's basically a vessel for the other things, right?
Graham crackers? Like, they're American crackers, right?
Yeah, but they're cinnamon flavoured.
Oh, yeah.
Very much not a graham cracker. Also, it's Graham, people. So it's basically a vessel, like a Jacob's Cracker is. Yes. It's a vehicle for the cheese, maybe some chutney. The malt is very much a vehicle for those big, fresh grass, herbal, noble hops. You know, it's interesting that they all have entirely unique characters. So you've got soft, chalky lemon.
Yeah.
You've got fresh grass, Jacob's Cracker, and you've got hints of caramel, lots of lovely herbal kind of character. But they all are bitter, dry, almost kind of powdery on that finish, which helps with the crispness, and all pretty highly carbonated. You know, because not all lagers are crispy. That's a bit of a cliche. This is about as crispy as a beer gets without being a crappy light lager. You know, and there's loads of character to this, but it's based on like a whisper of malt.
Oh, they should have called that Captain Bubbles or something.
And then they'd have got a very weird cease and desist. I like to think that his signature is all bubble writing. And it's like, kindly stop or else I'll sue you, Captain Bubbles.
Captain Bubbles. Mate, that's great as well. Very into it.
So what do you think of it as a style? Had you ever had an Italian Pilsner before, or was it just the TPO?
I've not had a TPO before, and I feel like I've had an Italian Pilsner before. You know, the sort of hop forwardness is very different and exciting to me. It could be a good gateway from sort of a lager Pilsner drinker into more of a hoppy sort of guy, right?
There's lots of people that would describe their Pilsners as hoppy Pilsners, and that's definitely not what this is, because what you expect from that is almost IPA character in a Pilsner. That's very much not what's happening here. But equally, people who love lager are rarely looking for that hop hit.
No.
So sometimes I'd question who is looking for Italian Pilsner. But everybody I've given an Italian Pilsner go has gone like, I didn't know I was looking for this.
But I found it.
But I really am.
It's great.
Yeah. It doesn't taste specifically Italian.
No.
It probably is absolutely great with pizza. And with a lot of like creamy and sort of oil-based pastas, maybe
Or
tomato and stuff like that.
Frigging focaccia.
Or focaccia, just bread and beer,
with
which
some
is
just dipping
lies
oil
very
and balsamic.
yeah.
This bit of focaccia.
I mean, that with the TPO
Lump
Pills,
of
which
hard
has that little bit of
cheese.
sweetness. Oh my God, what a day you'd have.
Come on.
You know, so it's something that's come out of the culture of Italy, and that's probably why it spread so well, because it suits the food, it suits the way that people want to drink in modern Italy as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's got big, bold hop character, but it's very different to what you might get in an IPA or anything like that. So it's this wonderful, unique little bit of brewing culture that's come out of nowhere, and I think it's absolutely amazing. I want to go tour Italy and drink lots of Italian Pilsners and see how it varies just within there.
I want to do that too.
Okay, well then we'll have to do that. But it's great to see that it's spread as well, and there's different interpretations of it. Like, I love this beer, but this is the best one on the table for sure.
Hands down.
You know, this one is less like an Italian Pilsner. This one is almost more like an Italian Pilsner than this one.
It's aggressively Italian
Aggressively,
Pilsner.
yeah. It's like Pilsner with an exclamation mark, driving by on his moped.
Maybe aggressively.
Whereas this is just an absolute joy. You know, it is this
Balance.
It's balance. It is timeless. It is balance. It has started a whole movement, and it's an amazing beer. So if you can get hold of it, you absolutely should, because it's magic and it's unique, and it shows continental hops are not just, you know, going in at the start of boils or even the end of boils. You can use it whatever way you want, depending on what you want to create. So yeah, what is Italian Pilsner? It's something you need to get in your face, essentially. And I'll say, salute
Salute!
to that.